We're in the deciding days for Penn State football's class of 2027, the first one under Matt Campbell. I'm Thomas Frank Carr. The big names are making their decisions here in late June after official visit season has ended, and Penn State gets a big win in that category. Case Alexander, the class of 2027 linebacker, their top linebacker on the board, was deciding between Oklahoma and Penn State, and he chose the Nittany Lions. This is a huge win for Penn State football because this is one of the, we keep saying this as they get better players and, some of these top players commit. This is one of the best players in the class of 2027 for Case Alexander. For those listening on the podcast version, he is the 123rd overall player, 11th linebacker, and number 5 player in the state of Oklahoma. His rivals ranking, by the way, is 92. That is a very high 4-star. Not a 4-star by ESPN or 247, but in my opinion, those are incorrect. That brings his industry ranking down to a 4-star still, 89 overall, as you can see here on the channel, but 312 outside of the industry ranking top 300, and somehow the 26th overall linebacker in America. I would challenge you to actually find 25 linebackers who are all better than Case Alexander, and we're going to get into a little bit of that here, talking about some of the things here. By the way, it's just me right now. Fitz and Ryan are both, we almost made it. I was on vacation up until Sunday, and Sunday night at like 7 p.m., Case Alexander decides to commit. So we're getting back up and running here. They're both tracking down information on Alexander, who is notoriously a quiet player. And we're going to get you some of the information about him over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. Good time to remind you to subscribe here to the YouTube channel, like this video, and of course, make sure you check out BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. It's 50% off right now for our summer sale. You're going to see a bunch of highlights here that we're going to go through again in just a little bit in his full game film breakdown. But I just wanted you to see, the football player that Penn State is getting in Case Alexander and all the awesome, athletic, explosive, talent level highlights. He is just a shade under 6'2". Shade under 6'3". He's 6'3", but he's got a 6'4" wingspan. The thing that I think is most important is right now, he's 213 to 215 pounds. So one of the biggest areas I think he needs to improve, and we'll skip to this part here. The highlights, the full game film, one of the best matches you're going to find. But one of the things he presents on film is he's a really, really strong run defender. There are times against really good football players when they match him from a talent perspective, when he can get a little bit stuck on offensive linemen who are big and strong. So he knows how to disengage from blocks, just having the strength to be able to do it. He's already working on that, right? 215 pounds going into his senior season, a guy who's easily going to be 235 pounds. He played in a 3-3-5, so this is an interesting thing. If you're looking at his long tail recruitment all the way from Iowa State now to Penn State, he was a perfect fit for Matt Campbell and the Iowa State Cyclones defense that ran that 3-3-5 because he's big, right? He's got a 6'4" wingspan. He's going to be a if they needed him to be 240-pound linebacker, because in his defense now and in that defense, he was going to get a lot of single blocks against offensive linemen, guards, centers, tackles. Wouldn't have the same coverage he's going to have from the defensive line at Penn State. So he does need to learn how to play in a 4-down front, do a little bit more in terms of understanding how the flow of following blocks goes when you do have different structures of the defense. And that's just a mental thing. I think he's going to have that no problem. He's going to be able to get that down. That is a thing, right? So, but the point here is that he is a big physical linebacker because he's going to have to play in a defense that had him doing some of those things we talked about this offseason. He doesn't have to do those now. So he's big and athletic and also can do a bunch of different great things. That's the exciting thing, is that he's got a lot of upside, but also an amazingly high floor. We'll talk about this a little bit on the back end, but he's a 3-linebacker sort of profile player. He could play the Will, he can play the Sam, he can play Mike linebacker, and there's a bunch of different ways that can break out depending on his fit in the class. But the fit in the class with Blake Betton, this is what they needed. They needed a guy who was a box linebacker who'd play the position, that has football savvy and instincts. Of course, his brother, Cooper Alexander, is on the Penn State football team as a tight end. Their dad played in the NFL as a tight end. He's a really good playmaker. So we're not going to show his offensive highlights here, but you should check them out. He makes plays on both sides of the football. When they need a 3rd down conversion, they need to get a big play, they need a big block, they will go behind him at tight end. I don't think he's big enough. I don't think he would want to play tight end. He's not a guy that you could play two ways, but he is a guy that makes plays on both sides of the football, plays that tight end slot hybrid, kind of like Sean Curry, right? Where he's lining up sometimes in the slot, sometimes he's lining out wide, sometimes he's lining up as an inline tight end. And just the athletic range and the number of positions he's put in to show and tell that he can make plays and knows what he's doing at a bunch of these different positions. It's just, once again, it's really good to have a dad who played in the NFL, who knows the game of football institutionally, coming from a football family. You get taught these things that you learn in college or you learn in the pros. You get taught those in high school, right? And you get taught those as a kid growing up. All of that stuff is present on film for Case Alexander. We're going to get into that film breakdown in just 1 minute. First, though, we have a message here from AJ Freedom Financial. Penn State fans know that confidence comes with having the right game plan. And when retirement is getting closer, many people have the same questions. Will my money last? Am I prepared for market volatility? Do I have a real plan for retirement and income taxes? At AJ Freedom Financial, we help pre-retirees and retirees build personalized retirement plans designed around their goals, timelines, and comfort with risk. From retirement incomes and tax-aware planning to legacy and investment strategies, we focus on helping clients move forward with greater clarity and confidence. If you'd like a second opinion on your current financial plan, or want to build a retirement strategy you can feel better about, we invite you to schedule a no-obligation meeting in Plymouth Meeting or one of our locations near you. Visit AJ Freedom Financial at www.ajffi.com or call 866-383-6899 today. That's AJ Freedom Financial at ajffi.com. AJ Freedom Financial, helping Nittany Lions fans plan for what's next.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Gradient Securities, LLC. Arden Hills, Minnesota, 866-991-1539. Member FINRA, SIPC. Gradient Securities, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor offers investment advisory services under the DBA of Gradient Wealth Management. Gradient Securities, LLC, and its advisors do not render tax, legal, or accounting services. Insurance products and services offered through AJ Freedom Financial. AJ Freedom Financial and Freedom Financial Insurance, LLC are not affiliated with Gradient Securities, LLC.
So I want to start with coverage because I think coverage is the hardest thing to find in a linebacker, especially one that's going to be a complete player that has talent and ability in the run game. And so with Case Alexander, big physical linebacker, but also great instincts for zone coverage. And we're going to look at specifically his zone coverage because that's primarily what he does. So there you got these linebackers dropping into these intermediate zones, right? And this is what's called a spot drop. You run to a spot and then you assess the threats. What I love about this is the great fundamentals. The first thing is he has a read step, so this quarterback could be a scrambler, right? So he's got to make sure that he fills his gap in the run game. I don't know the down and distance here, but it's an empty formation, so it's primarily a pass, right? You still have that responsibility to fill a gap as a linebacker. That's what he does. Then he drops into his zone, but almost the whole way, he's looking for and scanning for threats. So he sees this receiver over here and then quickly gets his eyes back to the quarterback. And to me, this is where the instincts of you're playing efficiently. It's not just about athleticism, speed, burst, explosiveness. It's about understanding where the ball is going, playing with an anticipation, and knowing where to go so that you're not wasting steps, right? So that you're attacking and getting there with very, very few wasted movements. So you see here, drop, settle, attack, and then he hits the receiver as the ball gets there to dislodge. Probably hears some footsteps on this sticks route. Great PBU. That's not just instinct, that's intelligence, that's anticipation of what's going on. Then we have these, which are essentially a run play, right? So he's in a 3-3-5. This is a 3-3-5 defense, but when they want to play a two high safety look, he becomes a nickel corner, essentially. And if you can play a guy out in space, in the box, we'll get to that a little bit later, off the edge, we'll get to that a little bit later. He does all of these things, and so you have a guy who can play in zone coverage, who is a plus coverage defender coming into college. And he does all of these things. This is why he profiles as an elite all-around football player. Just quickly again, the instincts and the anticipation. He's able to deny the vertical route by not attacking this play action, coming down and taking the bait there. He stays in coverage. Then he sees what's coming in the underneath zone, and he attacks downhill. So just great coverage discipline, coverage anticipation, and awareness. These are how you become really good at football. So the last couple plays here are not on his highlight film, but I wanted to show you these because these are the plays that, to me, make an elite player. It's the plays that you don't allow because you're denying the pass in the first place. So in this situation, you have a flood concept where this guy's coming over this way. I believe you got a post here, and you got a dig here, and then this guy's as the check down. So everything's coming over into this area of the field. So what he does very well is he first chucks the number 3 receiver, gets his hands on him, tries to disrupt the timing, and then he mirrors the quarterback on this sprint out into his zone. So he's responsible for what's coming this way. And you'll see the way he sees the quarterback, keeps his eyes on the receiver, and then drifts underneath, is able to deny this pass, doesn't allow himself to get caught up attacking the quarterback, going downhill, coverage discipline to drop underneath and deny this pass. That's great coverage. Now, backside receiver comes all the way over from the boundary, and this is some sort of match on the backside, one-on-one, and the backside corner is obviously just by action responsible for this player, and you see Alexander even getting a forearm shiver in there. Got to be careful that's not targeting at the next level. But then you got all these plays where you just see him deny the ball in coverage. So a couple steps downhill, but he's pretty, I want to say flat-footed in a good way, right? Like he's got great balance. He's not overly aggressive downhill, and that allows him to transition into coverage once he sees his play action, get back into his zone, and deny this pass. Now, this is good coverage here, right? But if you wanted to fit this into a tight window, now there's no opportunity. Like if you throw this, that's an interception. He's there and ready to make this play. So these are anticipation and intelligence plays that go along with great athleticism for a linebacker. Here again, we have him in a third down situation. You've got a 4x1. He's out here basically playing nickel defender in the slot against all of this with a 3-high look to start. We're not going to diagnose what the coverage is because it's not necessary, but here we have a 3 under coverage. So he is playing in this particular area and sees the threats coming to him. He knows what to pass off, like these vertical routes, and now he's in one-on-one coverage, ready to make a play on what is essentially a one-on-one situation with a PBU. So it feels like you can play him in man coverage against running backs and tight ends. That's a receiver, and he's making plays on the football without getting pass interference. You see the ability to reach through, get to the ball, poke it out between the hands. All this stuff is just really good. He's a really good coverage defender. So I want to start with this play, not because it's the best play. It's not even on his highlight film, but I think this is the most important tackle he made all season long, and let's explain why. This is a big moment for his team. It is 3 minutes left in the state championship game. It's 3rd and 5. His team is down 6 points here. So they have had a rough time stopping this quarterback running all game. That's the reason they've had the offense. The Longhorns offense has been on the field all game. And this defense, which has been very good watching them throughout the season that I've watched, they're having a hard time stopping the run. It's not even Alexander's best game. He's missed some tackles. But here, the coach called a timeout before this play, brought the whole team together here at about the 10-yard line, and, gave the speech. Didn't need to be in the huddle to hear, this is the moment, this is your opportunity to win the football game, get the ball back, and look what he does on this tackle wrap. So you're going to bring the tackle around. He is going to fill. He's going to be at the point of attack, and he's going to do this the right way. Great leverage here. So you see him extend his arms, get initial contact, why length matters, and then he keeps his outside shoulder clean. He forces the runner to bounce out this way, and he's able to mirror and get there and get a stop for just 1 yard. This is a big-time player he's tackling, and he's able to make that play in the biggest moment until this next play, because now no timeouts, 4th and 5. They don't have a kicker they like, so they're going to go for it. Here they're going to try and throw the ball at an empty. Remember, we got our Sam linebacker who plays in coverage. Now he converts to a edge rusher in this defense, blitzing off the edge, and he's able to play in open space really well and tackle the quarterback without tackling him, giving his team the ball back with a chance to win. That's huge. Playmakers making big plays in big moments has been a hallmark of this 2027 class. Case Alexander is one of the biggest examples of that. Now you have this coverage linebacker. We talked about him. I wanted to bring that up first so that when you see the fact that he's going to get a hit on the fullback here, then get to the running back and make a play on the ball, he's blowing people up. He's making plays. Here we have just a massive quarterback sweep, I guess you're going to call it. You got 4 lead blockers, right? But what that does is on the backside, you're going to have these seams. And he doesn't just recklessly come downhill. He scrapes and then attacks, gets downhill in the back, through the backside gap, and makes a play. So he can read the play, he can react, he's got great instincts of when to trigger downhill. And then you got a triple option team here where he's going to fill. And the thing I really like about these next 2 plays is watch the way he attacks the ball in the hole. Same foot, same shoulder. Great leverage. Again, that forward momentum, and then he drives his feet. Watch his feet at contact. They don't stop. This is an area where this is on the highlight reel, but it needs to be a little bit better play to play. But he shows the ability to do it here in these situations where he attacks, drives his feet, and creates backward momentum. So Case Alexander, coverage player, run stuffer, football intelligence, it's all there for you in a linebacker all-in-one player. Okay, so we've covered coverage, we've covered run defense, and now we're going to be getting into pass rush. We showed a little bit of it earlier in that big play he made in the state championship game as far as his ability to blitz, and I'd say that's the main thing he is good at here. So you see the timing, the anticipation. He gets a free run downhill at the quarterback. He's not a guy who's going to rip through offensive tackles, but I think his timing and his pursuit skills are excellent as a blitzer. Here you have the quarterback out here on a quarterback bootleg. He sees it, and he's able to run it down in the flat. Good speed. I don't want to say he's Tony Rojas level fast and explosive, but I think for what I think he's going to be in the future, which is a complete Mike linebacker, a guy that can do everything from that position, he's way faster than a lot of the guys we've seen come through Penn State recently. So that's a huge bonus if you consider him as a middle linebacker, which is what I think he's going to be in the future. And you can blitz him, like I said, up the middle, off running backs, and his pursuit skills are excellent. And as he's learning the defense, as he's getting older, you can play him at either linebacker position. He is a 3-position player. If you want to make him into a pseudo Caleb Bacon, where he's going to be off the edge a little bit, he's going to be playing in space as a Sam linebacker, you want a true coverage player out there, I think he can do that. And you see the ability to run players down, the timing here. I did want to show you on this last play where he has against a tight end, he's able to slip through. His best thing is he can dip. He can dip underneath the hands of tight ends and linemen and and running backs. Again, I don't think he's an edge rusher. I don't think he's the complete 3-way play him wherever you want, and he's going to be elite at all those things, because if he was, then he'd just be an edge rusher. But you do have this ability to blitz him, to add him in, and make him a useful part of the pass rush. He's absolutely capable of doing that at the next level, and that makes him a complete linebacker with the size, the athleticism, all of it. So there you have Case Alexander, Penn State's class of 2027. I would say a cornerstone piece on defense. That's a player that's really, really important to this class. And without him, this would have been an incomplete class. It would not have been one that I think you would feel comfortable with, because there'd be this really important missing piece. And I know that it doesn't matter. You're going to blend classes together. You're going to go to the transfer portal. You're going to find players. But like I said in the video there, if you're going to find a guy who's going to be athletic, intelligent, and make plays, I think you want to put that guy at Mike linebacker. He seems like a natural leader, and when you watch him on the football field, his communication skills are excellent. The football, legacy DNA is all there, all of those cliches. So Case Alexander is a massive win for Penn State, and I think can be a all Big Ten, NFL style player with massive upside and a high floor. He's the one player I would say, if you're going to ask a young linebacker to come in his first year and play Mike, he would be the guy that could do it. Now, I don't think they need him in 2027 to play, but if you're talking about the future of the position, Cale Brazine is going to be here for one more year, presumably after this one, and then you got to have a plan. I think Case Alexander has a short timeline to the field. Either way, wherever you want to play him, he can get to the field and he can make big plays. So that is Case Alexander. Huge win for Penn State football. If you want to read more about him, I'm going to have my film room up at bluewhiteillustrated.com. We're going to have more, hopefully, conversation and content about him there as well. It's 50% off for the Ultimate Fan Bundle. It's us, at the site, On3 and Rivals National, plus a full year of access to The Athletic. It's 50% off for our summer sale for recruiting. Don't miss it because it's not going to last all year, and we want to make sure you get in on all of our great content. Speaking of, got to go write up all that stuff and make sure you have it over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. So that'll do it for now. I'm Thomas Frank Carr for Ryan Snyder, Sean Fitz. We'll be back next time Penn State football gets a commitment here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel.